Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Jenna, and I just wanted to introduce myself, come on here, let you know what this channel is going to be about, and kind of talk about my journey and how I intend to help others potentially on the same journey or a similar journey. So for me, I've been an amputee since October of 2023, so relatively recently, and I just kind of wanted to share my amputation journey. I know for me, it's been something that has felt at times like a very isolating process, a very scary process, of course. And I don't think it's talked about enough for people with any kind of disability, but really for people who have been through something really traumatic like this and how it affects their lives. So a little bit about me is I am a yoga instructor and a sound healing practitioner, and I had been for a couple years prior to my amputation. I've been on my spiritual journey for about 7 years now, so I've had that previous knowledge of mindfulness and working with sound and working with vibration, working with quieting the mind, getting into the heart. So thankfully that really helped me when I had to go through this really tough time of having to get my leg amputated. So that story goes. Basically, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 tumor in my right shin in May of 2023. And for me, because I'm into all things holistic and natural, I didn't want to go the route of radiation. I really, really wanted to work through this on my own. And unfortunately, because the tumor was so large, although I was doing holistic treatments, I was doing naturopathic treatments, energy work, acupuncture, and those really did help to localize the tumor and keep it from spreading for 6 months. However, it just wasn't enough to completely remove the tumor on its own. And so in September, I had to make a really difficult decision, and my doctors basically said, listen, this is getting bigger. It was very painful. I was in extreme pain. I was bedbound at this point. I couldn't do anything on my own. I had to be showered. I had to eat from bed. It was really painful. I couldn't sleep. And at this point, I still didn't want to take any kind of pain med, so I was really just taking Tylenol for the pain. And it got to the point with my doctors where they're like, you can't survive this much longer. This tumor will spread. It is so big that there's nowhere else for it to go than somewhere else in your body. So it came to the point of, okay, do you want to live or do you want to die? And I had to make that decision. Okay, I'm either getting my leg amputated and my life as I know it is going to be forever changed, or I'm going to choose to die, which was not an option for me, although I definitely considered it, because as somebody who's always been very active, I have been a dancer my whole life, a competitive dancer. It's one of my passions. I love hiking, I love biking, I love swimming, I love all things outdoors. And so for me, it was a huge just shock to the system. Like, how am I ever going to do these things that I love again? And so when I finally did make that decision, I allowed myself to surrender into it. After a couple weeks of hemming and hawing and going through the extreme grief that I was experiencing. And I got my leg amputated October 2023, and here I am today. So since then, it has been a crazy journey of ups and downs. I will say, when I was in the hospital and I actually had my amputation, I was genuinely really happy. And I had been going through such extreme pain and fear and not living my life for a good 6 to 8 months prior, that I was just so excited to have my life back and so excited to be out of pain and to look forward to what is to come for me. And when I was in the hospital, I actually did have a bit of a psychedelic experience where I had a download of me, this being something that I pre-chose, if that's something that you believe, to help others, to help inspire others, to make a difference to help heal others. And the more that I've worked through these emotions and thought about, okay, what am I going to do now with the skill sets that I have, and how can I help other people, because that's all I've ever wanted to do, is to help people. Through the research that I've done, there really isn't a lot of spiritual support, shall I say, for people with disabilities, in particular amputations. Some of the people that I've met and spoken to that have had amputations have just, I asked them how they deal with their pain, because pain is a real thing, and it is something that you have to work through this process, and the frustrations that come along with the long process of getting fitted for a prosthetic and getting used to your prosthetic and relearning how to do everything, relearning how to walk, relearning how to, go up the stairs, every little small thing that people take for granted. Yes, there is mainstream therapy, and if that works for you, that's amazing. But for me, that's never something that's worked for me. So something that's been amazing for me is my meditation practice, and specifically sound healing. The vibrations of the sound really helps to move trauma and grief and whatever other emotions through the body, and that's been something that's been a daily practice for me. And even yoga. So I practice yoga every day, and that's been something that's helped me with pain, that's helped me with my mindset, that's helped me calm the mind when I'm, in a state of fear, or in a state of, being afraid to move forward. There's so many benefits to both of these things. And, when I was looking up yoga practices for amputees, I really didn't see anything out there. And yoga should be accessible for everyone, but with people with amputations, there are obviously different ways that amputees have to practice. They can't practice like any able-bodied person, and that's where I come in. So on this channel, not only do I want to share some of the tips and tricks from the spiritual world, from my guided meditation practices, from my sound healing practices, yoga practices, but I actually want to bring that forward, maybe guiding some sound healing meditation specifically for dealing with grief and trauma. Because with any amputation or disability, it does come with a level of trauma, and that trauma is stored in the cells of your body, and your cells remember it, even though you might think that you've dealt with the trauma. For me, like, I'm 8 months out, and I'm still going through waves of grief and waves of just feeling that trauma in my body. And there's some people who might have had an amputation 10 years ago, and they might still have some of that trauma and grief stored in their body. So I really want to make meditation specifically for this, make sound healings, and specifically yoga as well, so that I can kind of show amputees, like, you can do yoga, and these are the ways that you can practice. And I also want to just make sure that people know that there's a community here. I would love to create a community where people of all walks of life, people with any kind of disabilities, can come, can share their story, can feel like maybe they're not so alone, and that they have people that they can turn to when things happen, or when emotions arise, or when anything that maybe the people surrounding you might not understand because they haven't experienced it. I think that's the biggest thing for me, at least personally. Although I have amazing family and friends around me who have been so supportive and who have helped me so much throughout this journey, they haven't experienced what I've experienced. And there's a level of being able to connect with someone who's experienced and knows firsthand exactly what you've gone through. And I hope to be that person that has gone through this experience and can help guide other people throughout their journey as well. So, thanks for listening.